Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back for a Friday edition of the Steel City Sports Report, where we talk everything Steelers, Penguins, and Pirates. I am your host, Brady Vini, and we are here to wrap up the week in quick-like fashion. The work week, we are in the fourth quarter, under 2 minutes. It's time to kneel this thing out 3 times and head on into a fun weekend ahead for college football. If you're a college football fanatic, just like myself, I'm sure all of us will be watching games across the country tomorrow. Lots of interesting quarterback prospects to evaluate that could be potential franchise quarterbacks for the Pittsburgh Steelers in the future. But before we look too far into the future, let's keep our minds on the present here just for a little bit, maybe a half an hour, 45 minutes or so here today. What we are going to be talking about today is, of course, the Pittsburgh Steelers and everyone's favorite topic with them. When the hell, or more accurately now, are the Steelers going to add a wide receiver at all? You know, we're still waiting for a wide receiver too. We got DK Metcalf and then a bunch of, smaller skilled guys. I'm not going to discredit any of them, Calvin Austin, Roman Wilson. But the team, they could use another big body wide receiver in that room and someone who is a legitimate threat deep down the field like DK Metcalf. So we'll talk about the Steelers wide receiver situation. Also, we will talk about a little bit, I was not live yesterday, but the massive move that shook the entire NFL world, Micah Parsons being traded to the Green Bay Packers. He is now on the Steelers schedule, and man, do the Steelers, they have their work cut out for them, especially at the tackle position when it comes to who this young offensive line of the Steelers will be lining up across from throughout the season. Also, we will talk about a little bit of some Pittsburgh Pirates news. They, since we last spoke, wrapped up their 4-game series with the St. Louis Cardinals. They begin a 3-game weekend series tonight against the Boston Red Sox. Paul Skeens on the mound. Happy Paul Skeens to all of you who celebrate. Against Peyton Toll, the top pitching prospect for the Red Sox, will make his debut tonight, along with the Pirates playing, the past 2 days. And tonight they also made another move that makes all of us question how the hell is this team, still functioning? How the hell hasn't Major League Baseball stepped in when clearly moves that the Pirates make is to pinch pennies and cut corners if it saves a dime, really at any chance they get. So all of that and more we are going to get into tonight. First thing is first, before we officially kick this thing off, if you're new here to the channel, please subscribe and turn on notifications so that you never miss when I am live again. Also, feel free to leave a like, hit the share button on this live stream, and leave a comment in the comment section so we can talk about anything that is on your guys' mind here tonight. Also, would appreciate it if you gave the channel a follow on the following social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, and X at Steel City SR. And come back later tonight for a new edition of SCSR 60. By the way, since we were last live on Wednesday, we surpassed 500 subscribers on the channel. I believe last I checked, we are up to 504. So thank you once again to all of you in here right now who helped the channel reach that goal. I appreciate it very, very much. One person who did help us reach that goal, Concepts, in the comments. What's up, Concepts? Nice to see you again, as always. 11 of you in here right now. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. Get any thoughts, questions, opinions that you have in the comment section, just like where Concepts is right now, and we can interact that way throughout the night. We are going to start, once again, like I said, with some Pittsburgh Steelers news and everyone's most newsworthy topic with this team. What the hell are they doing at wide receiver? Are they going to do anything at wide receiver? The second thing I just said there, most likely going to be true. Since we last spoke, really over the past 2 days, Pittsburgh Steelers insider for the Pat McAfee show, Mark Caboli, throwing cold water all over the Steelers, potentially adding a wide receiver. Caboli yesterday said that the Las Vegas Raiders, they have no interest in trading Jacoby Myers, according to his sources. So he's the ideal candidate for a wide receiver, too. He is at the top of my list of realistic options for the Steelers right now. But Caboli saying that he is not hearing that anything in that case is going to come to fruition. Myers most likely just going to stay there and play in Las Vegas. Also, a couple of days ago said that as of right now, the Steelers are not pursuing any wide receiver in free agency or a trade. He cited that the Steelers wanted to add Marquez Valdez-Scantling to the practice squad, but MVS signed out with the San Francisco 49ers amidst their many, many injuries to their wide receiver room. So for the time being, and most likely for at least the start of the season up until the trade deadline, and what is that, week 8, get ready to see a ton of DK Metcalf and, I don't know, Ben Skoranek out there in run blocking situations, and then in passing situations, depending on how many tight ends are on the field, you're going to see Calvin Austin or Roman Wilson out there all the time with Metcalf. So, just really sucks. Now it's official, pretty much. I mean, we're 5 days or so, or almost 7 days away from the Steelers walking into MetLife Stadium against Justin Fields and the New York Jets. And for 2 years now, same thing, same story as last year, walking in without a clear, definitive wide receiver too that you can depend on and you can maybe even fall back on a little bit if your top guy in DK Metcalf goes down. that same exact situation bit this team in the ass last year. And it looks like, unless for some reason Calvin Austin or Roman Wilson break out into superstardom, it looks like that same problem is going to happen again for the Steelers this year. So let's hope that DK Metcalf can stay healthy throughout the year. I don't predict or anticipate Roman Wilson and Calvin Austin to all of a sudden find some other gear. Sure, maybe Aaron Rodgers, being the elite passer that he is, or at least, once was, might be able to bring out a little bit more in Austin and Wilson that we have not seen before, but I'm not going to hold my breath into either one of them being, definitive right behind DK Metcalf as a 1A, 1B type receiver. So that sucks. Looks like we're going to be in for another interesting season at the wide receiver position. Let's just hope that the Steelers loading up heavy on tight ends pays off with Jonnu Smith and Pat Freiermuth and Darnell Washington. But we will see. There's still, maybe a little bit of hope, I guess. Still a lot of good free agent wide receivers out there. Aside from the possibility of trading Jacoby Myers, Steelers right now, they can go out and they can sign Gabe Davis still, who they had visit 2 times. Hunter Renfrow, who I know he's, a slot. He's sort of like what you already have, but at least he's a brand name, or used to be. He's still available. A couple other minor guys are still out there available. Kendrick Bourne from the New England Patriots, but looks like the Steelers are not going to be adding anyone. And another option just got scooped off the market today. Wide receiver Javon Baker from the New England Patriots, former 4th-round pick for them. He got picked up. So, yeah, the Steelers, it's very frustrating that a wide receiver 2 has not been added to this point. And it's not like that they're pressed for money either. Steelers right now have just under $30 million in cap space. So they have the space to make a big move or to overpay, any free agent wide receiver still left out there on the market and make sure that they get a guy over, another team. But still, they're standing pat. I again said this on Wednesday. I know Omar Khan, he likes to be a patient GM. He likes to, read the room and watch things fall to him, and then he picks his times very carefully when he's aggressive. But at this point, with the wide receiver 2 situation, having sat through all of last year, when you saw George Pickens go down, and then you saw Calvin Austin and Van Jefferson and whoever the hell else was in the wide receiver room last year, struggle to get the offense churning late in the season. Now his patience, it's bordering, negligence at this point in not addressing this. So we'll see what happens. Maybe there is something, I'm not sure if those of you out there, if you're, on Twitter a bunch during the day, keeping up with the NFL insiders, that Ricky guy, the dog, who's on there a bunch, has really been on top of a ton of NFL news recently. Apparently he and some other, I don't know who these people are, just some other accounts on Twitter, they're trying to stir up things like, just got insane news, turn on post notifications, Steelers Nation, hold on to your seats. I've been seeing posts like that all day. Like, okay, I'll believe a wide receiver 2 will be here when I see it anymore, because no reason to believe so at this point. Steelers have gone out and addressed pretty much every other need, but the biggest one that they entered the offseason with still remains unsolved. So we'll see where things go. Back to the comments real quick with concepts. MVS chose the 49ers due to his familiarity with their offense. Do you think he would improve this offense at all? I mean, maybe a tiny bit. I'd pick MVS as a receiver still over Ben Skoranek. The Steelers have 5 wide receivers right now. I still think you could probably carry 6 and just have Skoranek and Roman Wilson. I know they've been working out on special teams. Have those 2 guys, be special teamers. Roman will be involved in the offense a little bit more than Skoranek, but MVS, he brings another deep downfield threat. I know you got Metcalf on one side. Great. He's one of the best deep threats in the league. And then you got Calvin Austin, who had a couple big splashy plays downfield, but, are you really going to rely on him to go up and high point the ball? I mean, he's still, who he is, unfortunately. And I don't know if he's going to be able to handle the rigors of a, full season being a guy like that. So MVS, bigger body. He's 6'3", something like that. So I would have liked to help that. Also, in a win now season for the Steelers, not adding a wide receiver too seems pretty crazy, but any little bit helps. MVS coming in with Aaron Rodgers. He knows what Rodgers likes. Rodgers knows what he likes. Would have been I think a nice reunion there to where they, might be able to link up a time or two throughout the season, throw it back to their old days in Green Bay. But I understand MVS going out to the 49ers. The Steelers just offering him a practice squad place really would kind of turn him off immediately and send him back out to San Francisco for even a league minimum contract. So that sucks. Jerry Jones had no interest in trading away Micah Parsons. But how did that go? I'll remain hopeful. I remain hopeful too. Concepts about the possibility of adding a wide receiver. I'd take either of these guys. Deebo Samuel and Cooper Kupp are the only realistic options I can think of this offseason. You think of any other past options that were available? Samuel, Cooper Kupp. When did Davante Adams get traded to the LA Rams? I thought that could have been a possibility. I'm not sure when he got traded. I'm not sure if that was before or after the smoke around Rodgers coming to the Steelers started up. Davante Adams could have been had. I don't even remember the trade. I just know that he's out there in LA with the Rams, which, by the way, is that not going to be a sneaky good offense? I know they got offensive line issues, but Puka, Devontae, Kyron Williams in the backfield, that's going to be a hell of an offense out there, especially with an offensive guru in Sean McVay. But yeah, I'm just trying to think of like bigger names like you have there. Samuel, Kupp, Davante Adams is one that comes to mind for me, but I don't know. All I know is that there are probably more realistic options than what you and I are speculating here. And the fact that for the second year in a row, the second offseason in a row, the Steelers come away with nothing. I think Devontae was a free agent. He said LA was his only choice, I think. He wanted the West Coast and signed the second he was a free agent. Yeah, well, I also think if the Steelers would have approached him saying, hey, we got Aaron coming here, Devontae signed, a 2-year deal out there? Pittsburgh, not that different from Wisconsin and Lambeau. Thought you could have done a little bit more convincing, especially if you used some of your $30 million in cap space right now. I'm pretty sure you could have changed his mind, but unfortunately, heading into the season without a wide receiver too, and the Steelers moving into the second topic of the day, also going to head into the season with a hell of a problem on their hands in terms of pass rushers they will go up against. In case the 12 of you watching right now have been living under a rock for the past 24 hours, the NFL world absolutely was hit by a 8-point earthquake last night, and that is Micah Parsons, defensive end, probably future defensive player of the year for the Dallas Cowboys. He is now on the Steelers' schedule, getting traded to the Green Bay Packers. The Cowboys, in return, getting 2 first-round picks and 29-year-old defensive tackle Kenny Clark. Parsons, as a part of this 4-year deal, signs a 4-year, $188 million extension, $136 guaranteed, and $47 million per year. And reason why I bring this up, I probably would have, mentioned it, passing by anyways, just because it's a massive NFL news story, is that three things are now, relevant to the Steelers in this deal. One, Steelers now will see Micah on the schedule, like I just mentioned. That is a Sunday night football game in Week 8 against the Green Bay Packers, and you add Parsons into a pretty murderous row of edge rushers that the Steelers rookie tackles pretty much are going to need to go against, even though Troy Fautanu is in his second year, only played one game last year, and, I'm still counting him as a rookie. And even though Broderick Jones is in his third year now, still over at left tackle for the first time since college. I'm going to take that as a very, at least getting back on a bike after years type scenario. So inexperience at the tackle position going up against the murderer's row of edge rushers. Steelers now will face Micah Parsons, Aiden Hutchinson with the Detroit Lions later in the year, Myles Garrett, of course, twice a year, Trey Hendrickson twice a year, Jonathan Grenard with the Vikings, Will McDonald for the Jets week 1. Trying to think of a couple other ones here, but just starting there, that is going to be, I think, where the Steelers season, as it sits right now, will be won or lost if Broderick Jones and Troy Fautanu will be able to not shut them down, because I don't think, out of those names on the list, you're going to be able to shut them down all game. But if you can hold, maybe those guys to a couple QB pressures, if you allow up one sack a game, just make sure it's not a bone-breaking one. But, yeah, very, very rough slate of edge rushers the Steelers will be going up against. 73.5 sacks combined between Hendrickson, Garrett, Parsons, Hutchinson, Grenard, and Will McDonald last year. So that's point number 1 of why this Micah Parsons deal affects the Steelers. Point number 2, $47 million a year for Micah Parsons in that deal. That is insane. Talk about smashing what TJ Watt just made in his new contract that got signed a month ago now. TJ beat Myles Garrett 40 with 41. Now Parsons 47. All of a sudden, I don't think us Steelers fans are complaining too much about paying TJ Watt that kind of money. So I thought that was absolutely insane. And then point number 3, we all now can point number 3 here. We all can sleep maybe a little bit tighter at night. Now, even though I just went for the first 10 minutes of the show ranting and raving about why the hell haven't the Steelers gotten a wide receiver 2, what the hell is going on there. Part of that, Steelers traded away George Pickens. If George Pickens was still here, even though he's a head case and probably we all could predict that he would have another blow up at some point in the season per usual, us trading him away, even though he would have been a hell of a wide receiver 2 here, now all of a sudden it doesn't look that bad, because with the Cowboys trading away Micah Parsons, you can probably guess, or at least give a strong hypothesis prediction of how that season is going to go for them now. And all of a sudden, the Steelers' third-round pick that they got back for GP, instead of being picked, in the 80s, like 83, something like that, where you just drafted Caleb Johnson this past year, now that pick probably moves up into the 70s. So, I'll take away, getting George Pickens, and his attitude off the team. That was, one victory in and of itself. Getting a third-round pick, looking at that at the time, you're like, okay, I mean, could have gotten better, but I guess it could have been worse. Now, you look at it, you could be getting almost a late second-round pick if the Cowboys season goes the way that we all expect it to go now that they've gotten rid of one of the best pass rushers in the NFL. By the way, GP, your comment kind of circulating everywhere. Remember when the Minka Fitzpatrick trade went down, and George Pickens was saying to the Steelers, they the cheapest organization, ain't no stacking year after year. They going to let them go too soon as it's time. Yeah. Now all of a sudden, who's being a cheap organization, GP? Thought that was interesting. Full circle there. But yeah, that seems to do it there for the Micah Parsons trade. We were going to mention it, just passing by at some point today, but does affect the Steelers. He's on their schedule now, and the Steelers, they need to plan accordingly. And now we hope and pray that Broderick Jones and Troy Fautanu, especially Fautanu, that they, live up to their draft pedigree, and in Fautanu's case, that he can be a Pro Bowler. Because if Fautanu, if he can be firmly entrenched on the right side, I mean, now granted, Hendrickson and Garrett and Parsons, they'll line up over at, Broderick Jones' side of the offensive line. But if Fautanu, 9 times out of 10, can take on the guy across from him one-on-one, then all of a sudden you can shift everyone over to the left a little bit, maybe give Broderick a little bit of help with a tight end or Isaac Seumalo, something like that. So should be an interesting year there. Parsons, by the way, with Green Bay, I saw this earlier, Sports Illustrated came out with a top 5 new pass rushing duo chart in the NFL. Tell me if a duo is missing here. Number 5, Chris Jones and George Karlaftis with the Chiefs. Number 4, Brian Burns, Dexter Lawrence. Number 3, Nick Bonito and Jonathan Cooper of the Denver Broncos. Number 2, Parsons and Rashawn Gary of the Green Bay Packers. And then number 1, Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson. Is there a duo that we know quite well that's missing from there? A certain, number 56 looked like a hell of a steal out of the draft a couple of years ago from Charlotte. And then a certain number 90 who just today, by the way, got named the number 11 player in the entirety of the NFL. Those two, they're kind of a pass rushing duo, but I guess TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith aren't better than, whoever, Cooper and Bonito. Didn't even know who those guys were a year ago. I'm even almost certain that, Watt and Highsmith are better than Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter at the top of that list. So I just thought that was completely and totally trash. But hey, Sports Illustrated, if you wanted clicks on your article there, you certainly got it. So thought that was crazy. All right, ladies and gentlemen, before we move on here, let's go back to the comment section, see what's going on. I do see all of your comments in there, even though I see you guys, loading up. I can see them over here. When you guys put something up, I do address them. Flacco, welcome back. As always, pressing not having a decent wide receiver too. It is the only way that my concerns for a wide receiver too can be solidified or can be, fulfilled is if, like I said, Calvin Austin or Roman Wilson just have another gear that none of us predicted or thought they could have, or if the Steelers do use their tight ends that they stockpiled in, if they use those guys effectively, then you can maybe make a nice wide receiver to sort of build a bear style. Put Roman Wilson out in this situation, Calvin Austin in this situation, Scotty Miller, Ben Skoranek in other situations. You can build a bear wide receiver to that way with 2 or 3 guys. But still, I would like to have a brand name, just one guy that you can count out there to be a solid wide receiver just in case DK Metcalf goes down. But looks like we won't be getting that. Concepts, I was hoping New England would trade or cut Jalen Polk. I was too. I was on board with the possibility of adding Jalen Polk. He was one of my underrated guys coming out of the draft a couple of years ago out of Washington. Unfortunately, shoulder injury, out for the year. That sucks. Cowboys got the better of the deal. 2 number 1s. Wow. 2 firsts. Well, thinking about this, both good side and bad side of this Cowboys trade, Yes, they did get 2 first-round picks. Unfortunately, now adding Parsons to an already pretty good Green Bay Packers team, those 2 first-round picks, they're more likely going to be in the mid to late 20s now. But on the bright side, I mean, you got Kenny Clark to stop the run, as Jerry Jones likes to say. We got to stop the run, which, my goodness, did y'all watched his press conference last night after that trade? I mean, woof, rough look for him. But on the bright side for the Cowboys, talking about getting 2 first-round picks for Parsons, at least they boosted their chances of getting the number 1 overall pick, because they're, A, probably going to suck more than they already were this upcoming season, and B, they could always, stockpile those 2 first-round picks and trade up in the first round. Kind of like what the Cleveland Browns are doing and what the LA Rams are doing. Those 3 teams now have 2 first-round picks. The Steelers, they're trying to do that, but they're doing it a bit of a different way, stockpiling, second and third round picks. But don't know how the Cowboys got the better of that deal, especially when you ship off a player like that. It goes back to that Family Guy meme that's been everywhere, where Peter Griffin is sitting in the office there, and he's got the chance between a boat or the mystery box, and she's like, "Now hang on, Lois. A boat's a boat, but the mystery box could be anything. It could even be a boat. We always wanted one of those. We'll take the box." That's kind of like Jerry Jones saying, "Oh, hey, with those first round picks we acquired, we could get an all-pro type player, as we just let one, and a young one in his prime, walk out the door." So, yeah, we'll see if Broderick Jones is a bust this year. Big year for him. Massive year for him, especially with the 5th-year option looming this offseason. That's another thing, too, that could affect the Steelers. I know the Steelers, we're all reading the writing on the wall here, looking at them possibly going out and drafting a quarterback high. But if Broderick Jones falls flat on his face, you hope that his success in the preseason isn't some facade. If, Jones falls on your face, then all of a sudden, instead of getting a quarterback and a maybe wide receiver too, you're going to be getting a quarterback and then needing to go back up high, probably early first round or early second round at the latest, to get another, high profile tackle, because you're not going to go out and buy one in free agency. Those are very, very overinflated on the free agent market. Look at Dan Moore. And you're not going to throw out a 3rd or 4th round pick to start there, just like you did Dan Moore Jr. when he was a rookie, and like you did Kendrick Green as a center when he wasn't a center. So, Broderick Jones, he is pivotal for not just this season, but for the future plans of the Steelers. They need him to hit at left tackle. Too late first seems light. They essentially traded a first to move up and draft Micah. Contract is the only wild part. It's like they only traded 1 first, if you think about it. That's what I'm saying. All those first round picks, the Packers, I would be shocked if the Packers within either this year or next year shipping off the first round picks over the next 2 years. I would be shocked if one of those 2 firsts isn't like pick 29 or something, meaning that they made the NFC Championship game. So, pathetic list. TJ and Highsmith, easily the best duo. Yeah, I could pick 3, maybe even 4 off of that list from Sports Illustrated. That TJ and Highsmith are better than. I mean, Rashawn Gary and Micah Parsons, that's, a good duo. They're up there alongside TJ and Highsmith. But Highsmith and TJ, they're better than Nick Bonino and Jonathan Cooper. They're better than Daniil Hunter and Will Anderson, in my opinion. Probably on, most weeks better than Chris Jones and George Karlaftis. I don't think I'm speaking out of pocket or as a homer when I say that. So, yeah, it's all about the clicks and the content there. Highsmith is insanely underrated. Yep. Both of them are. I think, TJ gets underrated because of his namesake. Calvin Austin, I don't think will ever be anything great. Maybe Roman could be something, though. We'll see. Yeah, lots of pressure on Roman Wilson. Aaron Rodgers saying he's tough on him. We saw Roman flash again and again in the preseason. So I think a ton of Steelers fans' perspective on him have elevated. Maybe there's something there. 3rd round pick out of Michigan was Michigan's top receiver just about when they made their national championship run 2 years ago. And I'll give Roman credit. He plays like a guy twice his size. He's fearless, goes out and blocks, is just pure football player, all about ball. So I'm hoping big things for him. CA3 will surprise people. People call Zay Flowers a wide receiver 1, even though he's 5'9", 175, just like Calvin. CA's effort and desire is way better than last year's headache. Yeah. Desire, effort, yes, does bring that in spades. But, is he going to stay healthy? That's another thing. We've seen him take big shots. I know Zay Flowers had a big injury or something like that last year, but still, I think he brings a different kind of skill set than Calvin Austin. Austin is a run fast downfield type of guy, but Zay Flower, he can run the whole route tree. And yeah, I would love to have a Zay Flower here. TJ at 11 seems low. Wild to say since 11 is great, but TJ is top 10 to me. What do you think? TJ is, top 10. And I bet you Myles Garrett is like 2 or something on that list because for some reason the almost gotcha stats and, if you would have held on to that ball a half second longer, I would have had this stat overinflates Myles Garrett. As much as TJ Watt is underrated and valued because of his name, and people are tired of hearing the name Watt out there in the media all the damn time, you can say the same thing about Myles Garrett. He is overrated as hell. Echelon Motion Pictures, welcome. Hear me out, please. We trade for solid receiver in 2 weeks. To get us through the first couple of weeks come October, we make a big trade for Brandon Ayuk, the one they wanted from the jump duo found. As soon as he's healthy, he becomes a Steeler. That would be insane. You're talking about 2 years of Steelers fans clinging on to every little report and rumor of the Steelers adding a wide receiver for the Steelers to circle back and get Brandon Ayuk. That would be an insane, pretty like your name there, Echelon Motion Pictures. That would be cinema, and that would be like one of those craziest stories ever. Brandon Ayuk finally a Pittsburgh Steeler. I doubt it though. Ayuk, when the Steelers were actually pursuing him, that was worth the investment. But now, getting paid a lot of money when you already paid DK Metcalf a lot of money coming off of torn ACL. That once upon a time, yes, but not anymore for Ayuk. I'd actually rather go and get Jawan Jennings out there, or one of the other, wide receivers on that team before I get Ayuk. So, Flacco 100% agree completely. TJ is the best. Yep. So who do you have us getting if we're getting anyone for that matter? Depends on what teams are looking to sell come the trade deadline in week 8 is when that is. I think that's when you'll see a move, and hopefully not a Mike Williams type move where the guy comes in and then you never hear from him again. Watch, it'll probably be an Alan Lazard. We'll bring in Randall Cobb off the scrap heap, something like that. It'll be someone who I think the Steelers are going to be 100% certain that will come in here and produce and quickly get synchronized with Aaron Rodgers. Because if Mike Williams couldn't hop on the moving train last year, Aaron Rodgers, a guy who likes perfection down to the littlest minute details, you're going to have to make sure that a guy comes in here and he's going to pick up the playbook seamlessly, maybe a former player for Arthur Smith, and also a past relationship with Aaron Rodgers wouldn't hurt. So depending on where the Jets are, maybe an Allen Lazard. Trying to think of some other players out there. I was about to say, what if they bring in Darnell Mooney from the Falcons, but I think the Falcons will still be, not selling pieces with Michael Penix, and also Mooney I don't think he played with Arthur Smith. I don't know. It's a very specific wide receiver that I think they're targeting, which may be the reason that they are taking forever to add one here. Who knows? What's your Jets game prediction? I didn't think about this much. Jets game prediction. Think week 1, Steelers notoriously slow week 1. They never come out of the gates firing. Let's go a low scoring affair, 17-13. 17-13. Rodgers will throw a touchdown pass to Jonnu Smith or Darnell Washington. Jalen Warren will run in another. Chris Boswell will kick like a 48-yard field goal, something like that. On the Jets side of it, Justin Fields, who we've all heard has been very, very worrying passing-wise in training camp. He'll probably run one in, but he'll also put the ground on the ball once. I just can see it right now, a peanut punch from TJ Watt to Justin Fields to knock the ball loose. Of course, the Jets, they'll get close, but no cigar a couple of times, so that'll result in them kicking some field goals. So 17-13 will be my prediction right now. And I reserve the right to change that if something changes for either side in the coming days. Please not Randall Cobb. I know, but just let's throw out all the old wide receivers that Aaron Rodgers had. Omar needs to kidnap Brady and hold him hostage and force a Myers trade. If you're not cheating, you're not trying, according to Brady. Yeah. Well, it's going to be hard for Omar to track down Brady because he's about to go, back to doing his work for Fox, and Brady isn't going to be calling any Steeler games this year. Yeah. I would love to have Jacoby Myers, but doesn't look like it's going to happen. We won 17-14 sloppy game due to lack of A-Rod and DK Metcalf preseason reps, defense balls. Yeah. Yep. That's pretty much the typical storyline. Like that movie you watch over and over again, it's exactly going to happen. I can see Justin Fields fumbling the ball a time, maybe two. I do see an interception. Who's going to pick off the ball for the Steelers? You know what? We're gonna run it back. Everything you just said there, echelon is pretty much what we saw from the Steelers in their offense last season. Let's run it back. Deshaun Elliott's getting a week 1 pick. I'll call that. So we'll see what that happens then. By the way, 21 of you in here right now. If you are new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so that you never miss when I am live again. We'll let you guys know while you're here. Be sure to come back next Sunday. We will be live here in this room. TV will be on here. We will get pumped up and ready to watch the Steelers and the Jets week 1. Kind of suspect on our run game. But you have legitimate reasons to. I mean, sure, he wasn't splashy, but you knew he was dependable and was going to hold on to the ball just about all the times in Najee Harris. But Steelers right now, Caleb Johnson still developing. Jalen Warren, lots of people concerned about his fumbleitis issues, and then Kenneth Gainwell hasn't been much more than a third down receiving back in his career. So legitimate worries. We'll see how this running back by committee goes. Steelers were always best with just one major guy, a bell cow, but we'll see. Hopefully it's better than what we're expecting. both from the running backs themselves and the offensive line. AB for wide receiver 2 just tied him in a Scotty Miller jersey. I don't know if that would work. I would, if AB was somewhat put together upstairs, I still think he could come back and he could ball. It'd be hilarious. They cut Cordero Patterson. 84 is available again. I'd bring back AB for a wide receiver 2. Hell, he'll think in his mind that he's a wide receiver 1. He might quit after the first quarter, get flashbacks or CTE flashbacks of the last time he was in MetLife Stadium and deuces out in the second quarter. But yeah, that's crazy. I'd do it. I don't care. Sean Elliott getting a pick week 1. Yeah, he just seems like a guy. Darius Slay pick. Maybe. That'd be a hell of a, hey, I'm not washed moment for Darius Slay. He beat me to it. Yep. I'm telling you, the Sean Elliott just seems like those type of guys who I could just see him kind of like the one he had last season against the Falcons, running in and just jumping a route and picking it off. I hope I'm right. Piss off the league and trade for A.J. Brown. Ole Miss reunion. Ooh. Who? What Ole Miss? Oh, yeah. Him with DK. That's unfortunately not going to happen, but I'd be open to it. You're talking about adding, wide receivers of pedigree who can just bully you out there. Hell yeah. Maybe still more talented than any wide receiver on the team except DK. Oh, easily. Definitely except maybe I call TJ Watt pick. Ooh, you might be onto something there, Flash. You might be onto something. We saw it in Latrobe. They're moving TJ around a bunch. They're swapping him sides with Highsmith. Maybe he plays a snap just to throw you off at like middle linebacker or something. Line up over the middle. You could be onto something. He might drop back into coverage unexpectedly, or it might be one of those typical TJ Watt, get your hands up, like tip the ball up in the air, and he might catch it himself. Who knows? I would not rule that out, a TJ Watt pick. That might be a good call in the end there, Flash. We'll see. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Appreciate all the comments. First and foremost, I really do like interacting with you guys that way. I do see more comments here rolling in. What do you have us doing realistically? Realistically, 10-7. Maybe 11-6, depending on A-Rod's health. Maybe if you get the first wild card, you draw a, struggling team limping into playoffs that, barely won their division, something like that, and you get a win. But until they prove us otherwise of what they've been, slightly above 500, get blown out in the first round of playoffs team, I got no reason to change my feelings on that. So we'll see. Jalen Ramsey will make it good with WR2, Travis Hunter 2.0. Maybe back in the day. Nah, well, we'll leave him. He's got enough on his plate. He's going to be bouncing around all over the place in the defensive back room. He's not going to leave the field, so you'd be stretching him out a bunch there. That would be a good hypothetical, like, I don't know, 6-7 years ago. We'll see. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you all commenting. Gonna move on real quick. Let's get through the rest of the content here that I had starred for today's program, and that includes us talking about the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Pirates, since we last were live, had the final 2 games of their 4-game set with the St. Louis Cardinals, one Wednesday night and then another one yesterday afternoon. Going back to Wednesday's night game for the Bucs and what they did in that ball game, Carmen Majinski got the start for the Buccos. Ran into some trouble early on in the ball game, especially with 2 outs. Cardinals ended up getting a run in the second inning off of him. Mason Wynn single. Tommy Sagasi, I almost want to call him Sagis, but I know that's not how his name is pronounced. Walked, and then a Pedro Pajes catcher double got home Mason Wynn. Majinski, short outing for him, only 46 pitches, 3 innings pitched, walked 3, struck out 4. So command, getting up ahead in at bats and finishing at bats was not his forte 2 nights ago. After that, it was Bubba time. Bubba Chandler making his second big league appearance, came in midway through the came in the fourth inning and was just lighting up the radar gun. I think he had 4 pitches within the first 2 innings above 100 miles an hour. So he is feeling himself. I think from what we've seen from Bubba Chandler in his first 2 big league appearances, I think it makes more truer and truer the idea that his struggles in AAA were not much more than him just being bored and him being tired of seeing everyone else around him with the Indianapolis Indians getting called up to the big leagues except him. So I think he's motivated as hell. He's back to his dominant self that we saw rising up through the prospect system, and excited to see that continue. With Chandler in the ball game, top of the 5th, Tommy Pham. Now that he can see, man, he has been on an absolute tear since making sure that his eye prescription was fixed, because he is on a heater to end this year. And dare I say, I see the little, joking hashtags out there. Extend Tommy Pham? I mean, sure, you would like to do better. Go out and get a, another big outfield bat to pair with O'Neal Cruz and Brian Reynolds, maybe if Reynolds still stays out there. But Pham, if you can bring him back at a reasonable price, dare I say, do it. At the pace he's hitting on. When it's all said and done, Tommy Pham got a single up the middle with the bases loaded, brought home 2 runs. Bubba Chandler, after entering in the 4th inning, went 4 scoreless innings for the Buccos, just gave up 1 hit. Struck out 3, walked 1, 53 pitches for him. He is now one of 5 major league pitchers to earn a save and earn a win in his first 2 major league games since saves became an official stat in 1969. So you can probably get to the conclusion off that stat. The Bucs ended up winning Wednesday night 2-1 over the Cardinals. Dennis Santana came in and saved the game. Excellent stuff there. Go ahead about, 15 hours or so to yesterday afternoon. Top of the 1st inning for the Buccos. Tommy Pham again just clobbering a ball 440 feet to the left field bleachers, 110.4 miles an hour off the bat. Extend Tommy Pham. Once upon a time was the most disliked player on this Bucco team for his performance mostly, but for some of his other actions earlier in the season. But now he is on a roll. The good times, unfortunately, did not last for the Buccos. Yesterday, Braxton Ashcraft was on the bump for the Bucs, gave up a run in the 5th inning, went back out there to start the 6th inning, ended up facing 3 batters, but was pulled a batter shy of recording his first quality start. 5 2/3 innings pitched, gave up 4 hits, walked 1, struck out 5, 73 pitches for him. So almost went 6 full. After him, Johan Ramirez ended up coming in the 7th inning, and it was batting practice off of him. Gave up a couple of base hits, a double, gave up a home run, then a 2-run shot to Jordan Walker that, if you're watching it in real time, you probably understood that was the straw that broke the camel's back. That ended up being the final score, 4-1. So the Bucs earning a series split with the St. Louis Cardinals, which, could have, of course, not had an implosion in yesterday's ball game. But for the Cardinals and Busch Stadium, especially there in St. Louis being a house of horrors for the Bucs, if they were in any sort of a race for a playoff position, that's a type of series that you would have, taken much, much better, because going into a place where you've been bad for a good while and now in earning a split there, you got to take that. So, anyways, like I said, Bucs 7:10 first pitch coming up here in a little over half an hour. The lineup tonight for the Buccos, game 1 of a 3-game weekend set against the Boston Red Sox. Jared Triolo leading off at shortstop. Nick Gonzalez at second base. In the 3-hole tonight is Brian Reynolds in right field. Tommy Pham in left field, batting cleanup. Andrew McCutchen, DH. Alexander Canario, holy hell, he's starting in center field. Henry Davis catches. Liover Peguero, once again, playing at first base. I think this is his 3rd or 4th start there. And then Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, rounding out the lineup, ladies and gentlemen, at third base this evening. And you're maybe wondering why I'm surprised in saying that, because the Bucs today, if you read the if you're reading the banner right there, they made another penny pinching move today, as Noah Hiles of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette was first to report the Pirates placed Isaiah Kiner-Falefa on outright waivers this afternoon. IKF, though he is still on the Pirates roster and can remain there for the rest of the season, he is on waivers. He could be acquired by the end of the weekend. If not, he will stay or get sent down to AAA or just, get outright released. So, yeah, confusing. You thought, IKF would probably be, a nice depth piece for this team next year if they were to go out and add legitimate bats. Turns out he's not going to be a piece for this team at all, most likely not beyond the season. What makes this even worse, ladies and gentlemen, is that he is 81 plate appearances shy of a $250,000 bonus. So, again, if you remember all too fondly the Rowdy Tellez situation, we even saw something similar to this just last week with the Pirates DFAing Andrew Heaney when he got his $50,000 bonus, had to pitch 8 more innings, would have gotten another 50. Saving money here is what I'm sure a majority of Pirates fans see this as. A cheap organization ran by a cheap general manager owned by a cheap owner. And we're all once again left stumped as to what the hell we did to deserve this baseball hell incarnate. So, IKF, thank you for all you did. Sometimes the good times are good. Most times the bad times are bad. But hey, we thank you for coming here and just being a good soldier day in, day out. Heaney and IKF, by the way, makes you scratch your head even more as to why the hell those guys weren't shipped off for a lottery ticket prospect, at least, at the trade deadline. Held on to them. Ben Sherrington said that, they didn't feel that they needed to trade those guys with 1 year left on their deal. And I'm not sure if it was him or maybe Paul Skeens who said, we would like bringing in these veteran guys and having them stick around for the entire season instead of, just normally seeing them get shipped off at the trade deadline. Well, all of that was said just for them little over a month later. There's the door. So, incompetence at the highest level. Anyways, wrapping up, talking about previewing tonight's ball game. Ran through the lineup there. IKF might be looking at his last series in a Bucco uniform. He's in the lineup tonight. Paul Skeens on the bump for the Buccos, looking to continue his case towards a Cy Young award, maybe in this offseason. And he will be going up against Peyton Toll, the top prospect, pitching prospect, that is, for the Boston Red Sox, making his MLB debut tonight at Fenway Park. So the Bucs lineup, I'm sure, will make him look like an all-star or the second coming of Chris Sale. Also, heading into tonight's ball game, the Bucs made a handful of moves. Right-handed relief pitcher Kyle Nicholas was placed on the Major League Bereavement / Family Medical Emergency list. So thoughts with him, or thoughts prayers, good vibes for him and his family. Hopefully, things will be going all right there. Also, outfielder Jack Sawinski placed on the 10-day IL with a groin injury. Left-handed reliever Evan Sisk and outfielder Ronnie Simon, who was literally just sent down to AAA like 2 days ago. Those two now back in the big leagues. 7-10 again. First pitch tonight. Rest of the series for the Bucs goes on the mound. Skeens today. Johan Oviedo tomorrow. Mitch Keller wraps it up on Sunday. So we'll see how things go. Not expecting much, especially going into Boston. I know that they're not, the most they're not the most intimidating team this year, but still just seems like a situation where the Bucs are going to go and going to do just so well, you feel. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, going to get into the extra Pittsburgh sports news segment of the day here in a little bit. Real quick, back to the comment section. Echelon again, W Bubba, indeed. I mean, if this team could just get average offense, even a below average offense that might blossom into an average offense, just think about the possibilities of what the starting rotation for the Pirates could be next year. Skeens, Chandler at the top of your rotation. That's a hell of a 1-2 punch, 1A, 1B. Then your other three members of your rotation. Mitch Keller could still be here, assuming he doesn't get traded in the offseason. Mike Burrows has been a solid, I think underrated pitcher for this team. He's impressed. Braxton Ashcraft has been doing all right in a starter's role. Johan Oviedo still working his way back from Tommy John, judging by his last performance. Looks like he's getting closer and closer back to the Oviedo we saw in 2023. And there's other guys that I, haven't even mentioned. Jared Jones will be back, hopefully, at some point in the second half of next season. You still got Hunter Barco on the way. So the pitching is there. It's just, can they do anything better than getting Spencer Horwitz and Tommy Pham, which they've been okay, but you can't have those two guys, and that's it, be your addition to the offense. Not a baseball fan, but willing to watch, learn, and hope for Bubba might be my new favorite player. Echelon, yeah. If you're going to pick Bubba Chandler to be your new favorite player, I think you'll like the cut of his jib. Just seems like, Skeen's more of a reserved, just go out there, do my job thing. Bubba has a little bit of that too, but you can see he wears his emotions on his sleeve, and I love it. So glad you're getting into baseball, though, Echelon. Unfortunately, watching this channel, probably going to be hearing about the Pittsburgh Pirates have done, which will do quite a number on your mental psyche up here. But, at least we get to talk through it on here together. All right, ladies and gentlemen, getting into the extra Pittsburgh sports news of the day, just recapping what all has happened, not just in the past 24 hours, but going back past 48 since I wasn't live on Thursday. Recapping all the news that has gone down that we cannot get too in-depth on, but we will talk about. Back to the Pittsburgh Steelers and some news around them. This happened yesterday. The roster moves that we anticipated became official yesterday. Safety Chuck Clark and offensive guard Max Sharping officially added back to the active roster. Quarterback Will Howard and corner Dante Kent placed on injured reserve. So we talked about that was the move that was probably going to be made. Kent and Howard to IR. Chuck Clark bringing him back as a third safety. A third, legitimate safety. I know Miles Killebrew technically identifies as a safety, but core special teamer. And then they continue to stack depth on the offensive line with Max Sharping. So good to especially get Chuck Clark back. I know he's not the most, star-studded addition you could have there, but he's solid. But who knows? Maybe he could be just filling a hole right now because I know we talked about throughout the day the Steelers, probably not adding a wide receiver, but didn't say anything about the Steelers not adding some safety help. They got the 3 corners locked down with Porter, Slay, and Ramsey, but safety, you could still add someone there. You got Juan Thornhill, Deshaun Elliott, and Chuck Clark. Okay, safety group, but not what they once were 2-3 years ago. Juan Thornhill, he's still coming off a rotten time with the Cleveland Browns. Deshaun Elliott had a good year last year, but was that him just popping off year one with the team, or is that going to be something legitimate? And then Chuck Clark was a late, training camp signee, which if he was worth anything, he would have been scooped up off the market before training camps began. So that brings me to today. Steelers, could they go out and add Jabril Peppers? Remember him, former Browns safety with the New England Patriots, got released today. Peppers still has $4.32 million guaranteed remaining on his contract for the season. He started 85 games, including 26 with New England, has totaled over 500 tackles, 7 picks, 6 forced fumbles, and 7 fumble recoveries in the NFL. That's tempting. That is tempting. I know there's still, a good bit of safeties out there with Justin Simmons and I think 1 or 2 others that are just slipping my mind right now. But I go add Jabril Peppers. I do see you there, Echelon. He's more of a strong safety, but so's Chuck Clark and so is Deshaun Elliott. I'm gonna take Peppers as more of an upgrade over Chuck Clark. No offense to Clark. I'd be okay if they keep Clark. I'd also be okay if they went out and get Peppers. Also, Peppers, wasn't he at one point a linebacker? If you have enough coverage talent out of your corners and Juan Thornhill, who he showed a little bit of good tape in the preseason, if you can get enough coverage out of those guys, I'd be okay bringing Peppers in to just be a strong safety, come downhill full head of steam and start thumping running backs that make it past the second level, because Steelers could use all the run help they can get after what we saw them end with last season, getting their faces caved in by Derrick Henry in the playoffs. So just an option out there. Jabril Peppers, could bring him in maybe. I wouldn't be upset with it. Also going back to that roster move, Chuck Clark and Max Sharping back, Will Howard and Dante Kent going to IR. We did hear from Will Howard today. He was in Columbus, Ohio, ahead of tomorrow's massive college football matchup between number 1 Texas and number 3 Ohio State. So he was there in Columbus on the Pat McAfee show. Said a couple of things, but not too much. Was mainly there just rooting on his school. Said this year was going to be a developmental year for him. Said he's happy that Rodgers is there. He's learning a lot off of him. And also we saw Howard wearing sort of this like cuff brace to, I guess, stabilize his thumb now on his hand. Looks to be all right to me. So I get it's just a football move putting Howard on IR. Most likely through 4 weeks of the season, you're not going to be through, or you're not going to be down to your QB3 and Skylar Thompson. For how he played, he probably earned himself a 53-man roster spot on most other NFL teams. So I understand it, but Howard looks pretty healthy to go on IR. Maybe we'll see him get activated off of that in the future. Maybe not. Who knows? Speaking of, Skylar Thompson, could have fit him on the practice squad. Who knows? Probably not. He would have gotten scooped up. Speaking of practice squads, linebacker Mark Robinson, who the Steelers cut, and they kept rookie Carson Bruner. He officially gone from the team. He was not brought back to the Steelers on their practice squad like a bunch of other familiar faces, DeMarvin Leal and James Pierre and such. Mark Robinson, he is now on his way to New England, joining the Patriots practice squad, joining his former Steeler teammate Robert Bob Spillane up there. So good luck to Mark Robinson in his new venture. And speaking once again about the Steelers practice squad, added 16 names, all of them familiar, all of them names that were with the team in training camp. Steelers filled out their practice squad officially yesterday, signing guard Aiden Williams, who was on the team for training camp as well, as their 17th and final player of their practice squad. And wrapping up the Steelers extra news here, speaking of offensive linemen, happy birthday today to Zach Frazier, the pride of West Virginia, now on pace to be the next great Steeler center in a long, illustrious line of centers to come through this organization. So happy birthday to Frazier. Looking forward to maybe an all-pro season from him. I said that about Troy Fautanu as a young guy, second-year guy. Could we see that from Frazier? Not ruling that out. Just wrapping up the extra news here for 1 second. One extra baseball story here today, not relating to the Pirates, but it is one of their former pitchers being in a world of trouble. It became official today from Francis Romero, who is a baseball reporter for the Baseball Writers Association of America. Cleveland Guardians right-handed pitcher, former Pittsburgh Pirate Luis Ortiz, as well as Guardians closer Emmanuel Clase, they will remain on the restricted and administrative leave list for the end of the 2025 season. So amidst their involvement and investigation for illegal sports gambling, they will not pitch again this season. And I know I just complained about 10 minutes ago about the Pirates. They can't have their biggest move of the offseason being a Spencer Horwitz. Luis Ortiz, shipping him off a part of that deal. All of a sudden, not looking bad. So, okay, taking one last stroll here through Twitter before logging off here for the night. Let's go back to the comment section real quick, though. How old is he? I remember when he was drafted, Belichick thought he was the next big thing. Very versatile. Yeah, very versatile. He's probably 28, 29. Thought he was young when he came out of the draft. Very high on Frazier. Just curious, are you worried about his snapping issues? 2 bad snaps to Mason in the preseason. Is that chemistry thing? Hopefully it's nothing. Great player. On a scale of 1 to 5 on how I'm worried about Zach Frazier and his snapping issues, I'm going to put it at like a 2 right now. So, I know he had the snap issues with Mason. He also, for the majority of training camp has been, getting used to the cadence, of Aaron Rodgers, which he, I think we can all agree, has one of the best cadences in the NFL. So he's been getting used to that. And I thought that last year when he had a little bit of snapping issues, I thought that was mainly Justin Fields early in the season, with Fields being, under center where he was inexperienced or not. So I thought it was, Fields last year and just, snapping to Mason in a real live game compared to still learning Aaron Rodgers off the field in practice. But you know what they say, there's a bit of a pattern there. Mike Tomlin, very quick to point out patterns. I'm gonna put it at a 2 right now. I think he'll be all right, but we'll see. I think he'll be all right, but it is worth keeping an eye and an ear on. I think the most concerning player on the offensive line is Mason McCormick. Honestly, not a bad take there. I agree. Broderick Jones put on good tape in the preseason, back at a natural position that he played in college, even though it's been 2 years since he played there. Isaac Seumalo, I think you're starting to see him maybe regress a tiny bit, but still, though, natural left guard, dependable veteran. Frazier looks like he's going to be a long-term starter. Same thing, I know it's preseason, but Fautanu, seeing what he's put out there on tape and also hearing what tons of people, those inside and outside the organization are saying about him, think he'll be all right. But Mason McCormick, 5th rounder out of South Dakota last year, was meant for him to just sit the entire year behind James Daniels. Well, Daniels tears his Achilles week 2, and McCormick is thrown into the fire. So, worried about him. It's a hell of a task to start in your second year for a 5th round guy. So hopefully everything will be all right, and that he can hold his own from time to time. Agreed, Russ had no issues with Frazier snaps. Hopefully nothing to worry about. I agreed. Sayamalu healthy. I hope McCormick plays well. Very raw prospect. Yes, McCormick is very raw. Sayamalu healthy. I'm going to take it as a yes. I think... I don't know. He's one of those guys that we were put in the dark about. Didn't see him at all in the preseason. You heard he was dealing with an injury early in training camp, and then was like practicing again. I do think that Sayamalu took part in that joint practice that they had with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So I'm going to take that as a positive sign of his health, at least. It is worrying, though, him not playing at all in the preseason games, though. You would like him to get a little bit of more, continuity and chemistry with Broderick Jones finally back over there on the left side, but we'll see. Take one last stroll here through Twitter, see if we have any other bits and pieces of news before logging off for the night. Let's see much. You're seeing a bunch of college highlights ahead of tomorrow's big college slate. Man, I'm just seeing a video here. Video of Le'Veon Bell. Of him just being so patient behind that offensive line that was absolutely loaded. Good times there. If only the Steelers, that Steelers team in the Killer Bees era, had today's defense. That'd be a legit Super Bowl contending team. Losing Daniels killed the O-line last year. Pat Meyer gets a lot of blames, but injuries have been rough. Fautanu, of course, yeah, agree with both of those things. Meyer, sure, could be better, but the injuries, they were a problem. And that winds back to the to this strength and conditioning staff that for some reason is still employed. Hopefully the offensive line and what they showed a little bit in the preseason, in the pass protecting game, not in, they still got to prove it to us in the running game, but hopefully good things ahead. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think that is going to wrap up shop here for the week. I want to thank you all for joining me again here on this Friday night. Going to go log off now, turn on the Buccos, maybe turn on a couple of other college football games on this evening. We'll work on getting an SCSR 60 out to you in the meantime. And I want to thank you once again for Wednesday, surpassing 500 subscribers here on the channel. It means the world. Next stop, 750, and then after that, 1,000. So hopefully it'll be a good football season to where we can all come on here like we are right now, discuss things out, have a lot of fun, continue this good thing we got going here. So that'll do it. Concepts, thank you. Appreciate all of you commenting. Thank you for the congrats on 500 subscribers. And that'll do it. All right, last time. Thank you. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Turn on notifications. Like, share, and comment on this live stream after the fact. Also, go give the channel a follow. Steel City SR on Facebook, Instagram, and X. Tune into SCSR 60 later tonight. Have a good weekend, everyone. Go enjoy some college football. Massive slate of good college matchups really throughout the entire day tomorrow. And then Sunday night, there's a good game. Monday night, there's a good game. If we want to go and hate watch Bill Belichick in UNC Monday night, we can do that. So tons of college football to watch over the next 3 days. And then next weekend, it's the real deal. and starting next Thursday, too. Eagles, Cowboys, Thursday Night Football. After that, Steelers, Jets, baby. We're almost there. We're almost there. All right. Have a good weekend, everyone. See you back here on Monday, same time, around 5:30 for some more Pittsburgh sports news. We will go live, of course, if any massive news breaks related to the Steelers, Penguins, or Pirates. But until then, see you back here Monday. Have a good rest of your Friday night, and then enjoy the long weekend. So have a good one. Peace out. See you back here on Monday.